Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, die-in time is here. That's right, we're talking about the First Omen. Get to the back of the bus, Second Omen, on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Roma, Italy. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. Now, we're going to open up all the gory details of the First Omen in the hopes that a young novitiate untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we might make at her or anyone else's expense. And always, there's only one person I trust that if she's whispering something to me, I won't get caught up in trying to focus on her lips. Then I won't go, oh, watch out for that car that's going to smush you into a wall. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I thought you said I was going to, I'd be the only one you trust to supply you with a, sassy little silver disco top to, go, sow your wild oats before becoming a bride of Christ.
Yes. Which is actually a little twisty that I didn't quite see coming. I didn't see that whole thing go. Maybe I'm going soft in the head. But people talked about this movie in advance before we get into spoiler territory. People talked about this like, oh, you can, in certain circles, like you can see every move coming. And I did not feel like I could see every move coming here. I came into this figuring I'm getting a creepy kid movie. And honestly, it is so very different from that. And while there's a creepy kid involved, it's honestly a completely different evolution of the Omen concept beyond, some Final Destination kills.
Well, the best way I can describe how the First Omen zagged on me from the very beginning is I didn't really read much in the way of reviews of this. I was very skeptical when this movie came out. I was like, here we go. We're digging into the prequel. Well,
it sounds like a real cash grab for sure.
And then when I put it on yesterday, I saw Ralph Ineson listed in the credits. I'm like, well, clearly he's going to be the voice of the devil.
Yeah,
and I was like, holy shit, he's a good guy. Maybe the only good guy in the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean, not a particularly useful good guy.
He's trying. God bless, he's trying.
What I didn't connect immediately is he's an ongoing character. He's the character who supplies the knives to the senator in the original Omen. He's playing the same guy.
Right. So he, you could say, oh, well, also surprisingly, he does make it to the end of this movie. It's like, but he's going to die eventually. Right.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely right. No one has a voice quite like Ralph Ineson. And so every time he's talking, I'm like, this is ADR, right? No one's voice sounds like this, right? And I've been saying about this guy now for 10, 15 years. I've never convinced it's really coming out of his voice box.
Yeah, no, I totally expected that, there'd be actual, communication from the devil. Right. And it was going to be in the voice of Ralph Ineson, because in my beloved Pope's Exorcist, he is the which we have not talked about on here, and we should talk about on here.
We should absolutely should talk about it.
He does do the voice of the devil in that,
right? Which makes perfect sense. How have we not talked about the fucking Pope's Exorcist? How did I schedule cheerleader camp and not the Pope's Exorcist?
We should have just done like a Pope off for like this entire month.
Sure. We should have had a Pope theme month.
Yeah. Or just like, Catholicism equals bad.
And so before we get into deep spoiler territory, I suppose we should give our first impressions for those who haven't caught up to it yet. And it's not like it just came out. It came out while I was in Japan, for crying out loud. So it's been a minute, but I held off because I knew once I'd heard the good reviews and people I trusted were like, oh, this is really actually great. I'm like, well, we got to schedule this at some point. And this was the kind of available spot for us to talk about it, because originally it was going to be Long Legs, but I can't get my ass to a movie theater to see anything, unfortunately. But I also need to work to put a roof over our head. So that's where I'm at. So what are your kind of non-spoiler reactions to this motion picture, Gina?
I did not expect this to be a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
It's now when I say that, I don't mean to say that it's boring. It's not, but it's very atmospheric.
Yes.
It's very artsy. The director has a very good eye for eerie imagery.
Oh my God. She's the best.
The stuff that they do to this actress, Nell Tiger Free's hair in certain scenes where it's just kind of like fanning out like this sort of like unholy halo around her head. And like the scene in which she wakes up the next morning after she thinks, she's just blacked out from a night of drinking. It's not that. Mm-hmm. But like the way her hair is arranged, it's like, it's eerie. Like you could picture like almost like, hey, like sort of like invisible hands have come out and like fanned it out. And there's just a lot of like, even the first kill involving Charles Dance as an old priest, like it's like dreamlike, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is gonna look good at least. Yes. On a plot level, it may not be great. It turns out to be perfectly fine. But this is gonna look good, and it really does. There's a lot of nice callbacks to Rosemary's Baby. Another one I really appreciated was a very obvious callback to Possession. Mm-hmm. No, I listen. It's not the most exciting movie in the world. But I again, as far as building a very sinister mood, it does very well at that. I liked it a lot.
I think the director of this motion picture, Arkasha Stevenson, she's one to watch. This is to me, this is a movie that on paper is okay. And in her hands and what she's trying to do with it elevates it to a pretty massive level. And this has been a pretty damn good year for horror so far. This is my favorite horror movie of the year to date.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know if I'd go that far. I did like it very much, though.
It's not a plot thing. There's better plotted movies. On paper, it's okayish. In her hands, this movie just guided me to where it needed to take me. The performances are top notch. It is gorgeous to look at. It is pretty fucking fantastic. And I can't wait to see what this person does next. I'm on board with whatever she's got coming down the pike. I'm into it. It was just top notch for me. I cannot recommend this motion picture enough. And I feel like we're having a pretty damn good year so far.
Yeah, I mean, as far as if you're rating it as a prequel, it rises above the quality level of most prequels by far.
In terms of how our audience is approaching what we've recorded so far, the last movie that we've talked about is Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, which technically would be a prequel. And it is terrible. It is without a doubt poorly photographed, poorly written, poorly executed, poorly acted. There's no way out of the suck hole that is Aliens versus Predator Requiem. You can like things about it, and I like tons of things about terrible movies, but I found that an absolute slog to watch every time I've been confronted with watching it. I could watch any 15 minutes of the First Omen whenever you want to plop it in front of me. I was enraptured. It is gorgeously captured. And if I didn't know that this was a digital motion picture, I would think it's on fucking film. Whoever she is lensing with, I know that she was a news photographer at one point, and has done documentary work. She has an incredible eye, and whomever she's working with to realize what she's trying to create, they're great too. Like I cannot recommend this motion picture enough. Now, if you're like, at the end of the day, I saw where everything was coming and it didn't really fool me at all, and the plot just didn't move me, I might agree with you, but I didn't watch this movie for plot, baby. I watched it because it reached into my brain and started going, this sucks. Oh my God, this is frightening. Oh, I'm out of control. I can't stop this. Oh my God, everything around me is leaking and melting in a hellish manner. It just got me. So guilty as charged, baby. I loved it.
The only thing I was not super keen on was sort of tying all the ends of it to the series as a whole. Like we didn't really need Ralph Ineson saying, oh, by the way, his name is Damien. Like it's like, Ralph, we know that. We know the name.
Yeah, Ralph, we've been down a road. Okay. She doesn't need to know that. What the fuck does she care? It's not like she came back at the end and ended up stabbing him through the eye with a crucifix. That didn't fucking happen. So who cares that she knows what her second kid's name is? Uh-oh, we're already into spoiler territory.
Well, I mean, we're spoiling it if you've never seen an Omen movie before.
Right. That's true. If you have, you know where this is fucking going. You just don't know how you get there. Is it the cleverest of twists? Not necessarily in terms of its plot, but in terms of what it does to get you through those plot points and how it grabs you as an audience member. I was absolutely just in the tank for it. So with that being said, we'll end spoilers here. If you want to run off and see it, and I can't recommend that you do enough. I
think it is. I watched it on Hulu, so
right. That's where I think it is for the vast majority of people. Although it didn't come up as a rental, so it's available for you. But yes, Hulu is the easiest way to get at it. But this is worth a rental, people. I'm kind of mad I don't own it. I'm going to try to find a disc of it so I can always have it, because I have every other Omen movie. And I'll tell you, it's this and the first one. And those are the ones I like.
Yeah, I think it's certainly if you're going to do an Omen off, this would rank among the top 2 or 3 for me.
Yes. Yes. It is really neck and neck for me. That's how much I like it. Now I don't think it's as clever in terms of how it does people off necessarily. That being said, so much of it isn't really about those final destination moments, those, moments in which divine or anti-divine intervention takes place. To me, this is about the body horror. To me, this is about your agency being stolen from you and really being locked in a place where you don't have control of yourself, your body, your destiny. And up until recently, that's how I've been feeling. But lo and behold, things have kind of freed up in a way that I couldn't imagine mere weeks ago.
Just breathing.
Almost like, oh shit, hope. I haven't felt that in a minute. And
it's good. It's good to laugh again.
Yes. And the sense that I want bloodthirsty revenge. That's it. Like, I am absolutely voting in this November's election in a positive way, right? It's not just spite, but for the other team, it was all revenge based. And now I feel that there is an opportunity for tremendous revenge.
Absolutely.
I relish it.
Absolutely.
I want them to feel it. I want them to know it, that they couldn't do it. They didn't have the juice. They didn't have the riz. They got couch fuckers. and weird dorks. They're full of weird fucking dorks. And not in the, it's the type of thing where I think you and I would both refer to ourselves as, odd ducks. We're not exactly totes norms to the max.
Right.
That being said, it's not so much that one is weird. It's what one is weird about. And I feel the First Omen taps into a group of people who are already slightly bent, but then they're like, you know what we need to do? Create an antichrist we can control, and that'll get butts back in seats. And that is fucking wild because we had the dumbest omen take place in our fucking lifetime, Gina.
Yeah. All the signs were there. We ignored it.
I didn't think people would get snowed over by the biggest dipshit who only covers up the 666 buried into his forehead with a weave of orange cotton candy that he tapes in place with visible fucking tape. That is weird as shit. He fucking sucks. And this movie does not.
Listen, if you were to tell me that Donald Trump emerged from his mother's womb as a clawed mutant hand, I would 100% believe you.
But it's here's the thing. It's very tiny. So it's not as grisly here. Whereas in this movie, when a giant black clawed hand reaches out from a vagina, I pressed myself into a wall so much I thought I was going to Homer Simpson through a bush. And
I mean, I don't know. It was more unnerving, that or like the Rosemary's Baby-esque conception scene where you see that same clawed hand kind of sensually stroke her face, like come on, baby, it's gonna be all right.
Poor night.
Just relax.
Come on, baby. Listen. I've been through this a few times. Now, it's never gone well up until late, but I think we can all agree that if you just relax and let the drugs do the talking, then everything's gonna work out just
what if
fine.
I put a little Italian pop music on? That'd be all right, baby.
This is a great time for Italian disco. Come on. We're all dressed in black. You've got some good drugs. We've got candlelights. Not everyone gives birth on candlelights. Let's do this. I don't know why my jackal has so much tongue, but also give it to Nell Tiger Free, an actress I'd heard the name, but probably hadn't seen a lot of.
She's she was in a couple seasons of Game of Thrones, but I think she would be most familiar to horror fans because she was in the TV series Servant.
I think I've heard of. I have Apple Plus. Have I ever thought tonight's the night for Servant?
It's
Never.
not. It's. I have my problems with it. It's it's got M. Night on it, so it's got some. It looks really good, but has a plot that doesn't always really make a whole lot of sense. But she is unimpeachable in it. She is very good. I would like to see her play a normal person who has a nice day sometimes, but she just kind of has that look, I mean,
sure.
Like she kind of has that please demons possess me look.
Right. She's seen some shit. And this is a movie where she is forced to see some shit. And I don't want to openly compare this movie to Immaculate, a film that it shares a lot of plot points with. And I enjoy the shit out of Immaculate. In fact, when I saw Immaculate, I openly wondered, how fucking good is the First Omen if people are saying that the First Omen is better than Immaculate? And while they share a lot of themes and stuff, I think the heart and soul of that movie is Sydney Sweeney, a sentence I never thought would emerge out of my mouth. But she's very good in that. And Nell Tiger Free is even better. And so it's like, wow, these people are committed to what is happening here. And I think there are just some elements for me that give, not in the plotting department, but in the presentation department, that give the First Omen the benefit of the doubt in my mind. That being said, their performances are just unimpeachable. It's just so fucking committed, so gritty, so teeth-baringly raw. And I love that. I love that everyone here is like, I know exactly the kind of movie I'm supposed to be in. And then the movie, in my mind, completely delivers on that promise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Going back to the scene that is an homage to Possession.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's amazing how long this scene goes on and how uncomfortable it gets, because she's kind of in labor, but also just having like a complete freak out.
Yeah.
And like even some of the poses she makes are exactly the poses that Isabelle Adjani makes. She's like, at one point she falls to her knees, and I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing.
Right.
And,
yeah.
doing the Leo point. It's like, I'm waiting for that milk to start pouring out of her.
And boy, does it ever. Yeah, it doesn't hurt that she kind of resembles her in a way.
Well, they both have that spooky, ethereal look.
Yes. And it's just, the other thing is, you don't know how much of it is actually in her mind. And I did just kind of at a certain point wonder, like, obviously there is a real supernatural element to it. They're not calling it the First Omen and then they're going, by the way, she's just crazy. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right. I mean, she is being gaslit, but also, what she's afraid is happening is actually happening.
Yes. Yes. But she, for the vast majority of the movie, she's totally afraid it's happening to a different person. And it almost convinces you that that's the direction it's going to go in. And then it's like, oh, hold on. Actually, what you've been chasing this entire movie is you. And that's where I was like, hey, is that the most inventive plot twist in the world? No. But I love how it's being given to me, and I love how she's portraying it. And for me, it just felt emotionally true, despite what my Hollywood-pilled brain might make me think at any given time. I'm just not, for whatever reason, it absolutely worked for me.
Do you think that if a lesser actress had been in the lead, it wouldn't have worked as well for you? Or do you think like a lot of that was just like the imagery and the vibe that sold it for you?
I think it's both. I think both these things kind of have to come together for it to reach the pinnacle that it did for me. Now, it's obvious that, not everyone is in agreement in this movie. And if it just doesn't emotionally work for people, I can't doubt that. That's what art is, an emotional reaction. So I get that. But yeah, she's special in this. And the world that the director manages to create around her is real. I mean, it looks like they are burning money changing Rome into 1971 Rome.
Oh, yeah.
That is not minor to do. That is not easy to accomplish, and to make it look like, not like,
or make it look like, not make it look like America.
Exactly.
So, they don't have like, very recognizable 70s era music on the soundtrack. A lot of it is like Italian pop and Italian disco, because that's accurate. That's what they would have been listening to. So,
yes,
they really have an eye for just detail in general.
Yes, I agree. It feels very lived in. It's got a very nice warm candlelit-esque glow, and it's different in that way to that original Omen and the franchise that went forward starting in 76, where it was very icy blue, right? It's this very sort of washed out, sort of newspaper look to it all. And this is a much warmer toned motion picture that really doesn't go for that blue tone until the very end when Ralph Ineson goes, oh, by the way, that kid's name is Damien.
It's almost like the warmth has, it's a chill has like set over the entire movie.
Exactly.
Because he's
a turning point.
He's here and everything is falling into place. And the only way we can stop it is to go kill a child.
And I guess that they actually did a lot of principal photography in Rome. And they use locations very, very well because I think it comes across as a rather sumptuous production that you wouldn't necessarily get, given that this film is, it's been made for $30 million, but I think every dollar of that is absolutely on screen, and all of the physical gore moments and that real body horror stuff, they're not presenting to you in a super digital way. It really does look visceral, and it is. Oh yeah, just
everybody's sweaty. You got a lot of abdominal stretching, which is always a very visceral horror in even real life pregnancies. I can't emphasize enough, and I don't think, even though we have quite a few, I think we definitely. We can't have enough movies about showing the horrors that pregnancy puts a woman's body through.
Sure.
You are kind of growing a parasite inside your body. And it's going to be a very cute little parasite who hopefully has like the best qualities of both you and the other parent. But it's just the things it does to the body are it's insane. We can't even comprehend it. So, I mean, there's definitely, a time when every pregnant woman, no matter how much she's eagerly anticipating having a child, is, you will look at her body in the mirror and say what's happening to me? I don't even recognize myself anymore. When I was pregnant with my daughter, my feet after about 6 months pregnant looked like, you ever open a can of Pillsbury biscuit dough?
Sure.
And just kind of squishes out of the seams. Mm-hmm. That was like my feet every time I put shoes on. And I go to the doctor, is this normal? and they're like, oh yeah, that's just something that happens.
Yeah.
It'll go away after the baby's born. It's like, oh, okay.
It's kind of wild how much we're all told, but I believe this especially of women, told there's so much of this is natural. It's natural. Yeah,
natural. And don't complain. Don't complain about the stretch marks. Don't complain about the hemorrhoids. Don't complain about the constant exhaustion.
Just focus on this baby as the end result.
Right. It's going to be all so good when the baby's here, except if your vagina tears open in the middle of giving birth, or you have more hemorrhoids, or the baby doesn't sleep, or the baby's father suddenly, turns out to be completely useless in helping with the baby. And it's just so much.
I just think women are particularly forced to disassociate from their bodies and go, well, the end result is really what I'm merely the vessel from which this end result is happening. And my philosophy, I'm not going to put myself on a pedestal here. This is just realism. And I only have, two pieces of advice for people. And I think they're very general. One is that after the birth of that child, your number one priority is mom. That is it. Everything flows from mom. Her health, her welfare, her comfort, her needs. All of that goes to her. Everything else flows straight to the baby from that standpoint, but you absolutely cannot focus on just the baby. I think that isolates people in a very vulnerable psychological and physical state.
Well, yeah, everything is for the baby. You know, I mean, like when when you're pregnant, it's like, is that good for the baby? Are you sure that's good for the baby? And then, when the baby's born, it's, oh, mom, you can take care of yourself. It's the baby's turn now. And and it really emphasizes how much, and again, to take it back to current events, how much, a lot of people feel that a woman's role is to be an egg incubator.
Yes. And
whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Whatever their age is, how that conception took place, whether intentional, non-intentional, or the complete lack of care beyond what we would normally think about in terms of abortion care and healthcare in that circumstance. So many people, so many pregnancies don't result in a baby because the mom's body is like, you know what, this isn't working, or it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. It doesn't latch on to where it's supposed to go. The spark doesn't fire. Name the reason. There's all sorts of reasons why a birth does not happen. And the top priority should be making sure that person can be allowed to try again down the road. And, everything else, I just do not agree with. There's no place for the state, the country, any political figure telling you what you can do or should do with your body. That is absolutely your choice between you and a medical professional, and no one should get in the middle of that. Anything else, I believe, a complete, absolute immoral overreach by the most misguided of individuals. I understand if that is not something you want to do yourself. I would not get in the way of that. Again, I would not get in the way of that. But you telling someone else, fuck that noise.
Well, I mean, you could look at the plot of this and think, well, that's pretty ludicrous that this is all a plot, orchestrated by the Catholic Church. But I would also direct you that there are people in various positions of government who are looking to create a database of women who have reported pregnancies to, quote unquote, keep track of them.
Yeah.
To
normal.
To see if they travel to other states to perhaps visit a friend or go shopping or seek a medical procedure that's not currently legal in their state. Which
fucking insane.
Which you as human beings with liberties, they should be allowed to do that. But yeah, sure. The Catholic Church conspiring to impregnate unwitting young women with the devil's seed is ridiculous. Who would do that? Why would anybody believe that?
What a pure fantasy. And yet, the shadow cabinet honestly exists.
If you really listen to J.D. Vance's obsession with women who have, not men who have opted to not have children, because there's a lot of them too, but they don't matter. They don't matter. His psychotic obsession with women who have chosen to not have children. If there was a way for him to get involved in a conspiracy to impregnate women against their will, I 100% believe with all my conspiracy loving heart that he would do it.
Because it's about power.
If he's not already, I mean, people joke around that that the Handmaid's Tale wasn't supposed to be a blueprint, but I could picture JD reading it thinking, what would I have to do to make this happen?
Yeah, it's like, well, that's a little fantastical, but if you set it up the right way, it just might work. And that's the thing. This fantastical film is absolutely rooted in a reality-based truth that there are secret, not so secret groups of people who wish to control other people's bodies in order to maintain their sense of power. And demon hands coming out of vaginas be damned. At the core of it, it's a very real fear. And then on top of it are these layers of fantasticism that are given light and power by a really smart director and some fantastic acting choices, and just letting people be in that moment. And I think there's a lot of bravery on display here. And it's really rooted in trying to give the audience a genuine emotional experience.
Yeah, we haven't actually talked about the plot, but I don't know if this is like something, because it is so much of a vibe.
Yes.
I don't know that. I mean, long story short, a student nun goes to Italy to basically do her service to make her, I guess, a full-time nun.
Yeah, she's graduating into the big leagues.
A professional nun. So I guess she's like supposed to be in her early 20s.
Yes.
It is hinted that she's had a troubled childhood. She was raised in an orphanage and is now working in an orphanage. She becomes attached to this young girl who is also considered a problem child. And gradually uncovers that what she believes to be is a plot for this young girl to be impregnated with the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler, it turns out that it's actually her that's going to be in play, that's meant that's designated for that purpose, because it's been determined that this girl is too young for the task. So I mean, that is the plot in a nutshell. But with with a lot of paranoia, a lot of elements of people trying to warn her and then getting killed for their trouble. Although the kill, it's very low. It's like 3, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I get, when you add in like the car crashes, then it starts to raise a little bit. But even then, yeah, I mean, our Choose Your Own Deathventure is not a long list.
No.
But also the Omen doesn't itself have a super high body count.
No.
It's going for grandiosity rather than numbers.
Whereas I think with now I did not see the 2006 Omen.
No, I hard passed on that.
It's my understanding that it is quite poor. So I'm not going to add that to my must see list. But one of the problems that I have with the subsequent Omen movies is that they're all trying to top each other in having the most spectacular kills.
Right.
And I think you are absolutely correct that this is superior to Omen 2 and the Final Conflict, which we have not actually. We never did that one, did we?
No, we kept coming up to it, and I believe the last time I put it on there, your response was, outside of one scene, I don't think it's a particularly fun movie to talk about.
It isn't, because it's just not. I mean, this movie is not fun. It's very unsettling, but in a kind of eerie, memorable way, where it's just like, the Final Conflict kind of goes out of its way to be gruesome.
Yes.
And it's to the point where it's just like, all right, well, here's a dead baby, and here's a guy, blowing his brains out, and here, like, we discovered that the devil can only conceive a child through butt sex. And it's like what?
What? Basically, people leafing through Bibles. Well, no, hold on. I didn't say it here. Wait, hold on. Yeah, for me, it kind of works, but you're saying this is bad. Yeah. It's just one of those things
it's going out of its way to be lurid rather than scary. Where I think that the First Omen is a genuinely scary movie, and this one is I don't know if I would say overtly scary, but unsettling.
Well, I think the body horror stuff is
definitely
just jaw-droppingly realized, and I felt every inch of those moments, and I think the performances help really, as I said before, just elevate those simple things into becoming set pieces unto themselves. It's not trying to be another Omen movie. And I think that's one of its better strengths. And its ultimate weakness is when it attempts to, shoot the loop and become an Omen movie at the very end.
Right. Yeah. And I did kind of let out a little snicker when someone is holding like a file folder and there's a picture of Gregory Peck clipped to it.
Yeah, that's one of those okay.
We know. I don't know. I mean, maybe there have been a few people who have seen this movie and have not actually seen the other Omen movies, but on the other hand, they wouldn't know who Gregory Peck was.
Right. They wouldn't they might I know that guy is like a star. Is he from an Omen movie?
You could leave it as, we have found someone to adopt the child. And yes. We know that's Robert Thorne.
Right. Other elements are necessary. You don't need to flash.
I mean, it could have been worse. They could have had CGI'd Gregory Peck and Lee Remick into it.
Exactly. Yes. The ghost of Lee Remick.
Right. Because the first movie does open with baby Damien being put into, was it Catherine Thorne's arms? And
yes.
They could have pushed the, seamlessly, tying it up to the first movie even a little further, kind of like how I think one of the awful Amityville movies I watched ended with a shot of George and Kathy Lutz coming into the house. Now, granted,
sure.
it wasn't James Brolin and Margot Kidder, but it was obviously obvious who they were supposed to be. And it's we know what happens after this point. you don't have to illustrate it.
Yeah. So we know by the dates it kind of lines up. I don't think you have to button that. That feels like a real studio note where they're like, we have to make people understand this is connected to 1976 is The Omen. You're like, I think they'll get that via the title.
Do you think that the fact that she had that the birth was twins and that she also had a daughter?
Sure.
Do you think that is a subtle setup for a sequel that takes place in the present, maybe, where a now our age sister of Damien is grown up and I don't know, half Satan? How does that work? I mean,
she's got just enough to make it pop. To me, if this had made $100 million, they would have greenlit The Omen.
Yeah, I'm not sure it did well enough to kind of reboot the entire franchise.
Yeah. That being said, at the end of the day, what they created is a really good piece of work, and I would recommend this to anyone.
I honestly think it would be a good. Now, while I found, I was going to say, I think it'd be a good companion piece with Saint Maud. But while I did find Saint Maud to be much more unnerving, particularly the ending.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of the vibes of it are very similar.
Sure. I think Saint Maud is just such a small scale piece of work that it's practically in a league of its own. My estimation of it has only risen.
Oh yeah. I think about that ending at least once a week.
It's one of those things where it just flashes into your head and you're like, all right. And there's a section of this that I feel that they're obviously trying to evoke that a little bit, where they combine the "It's All For You" hanging sequence from the original Omen with this super fun nun from the local convent lighting herself on fire before she does it, because why not?
Oh, that scene was just, it sounds weird to say that a nun hanging herself, setting herself on fire and then hanging herself is beautiful. But the juxtaposition, I mean, and obviously this is a callback to the scene from the first week that was also during a children's birthday party. This is some sort of children's festival where you've got all these little girls all, dressed in their party dresses, and they don't know what's happening until the last minute. But in a way, I think this is more because like everything kind of becomes like weirdly dreamy.
Yes.
Like it's kind of everything sort of slows down a little bit, and it's just like it's really like, if nothing else, watch it with the sound off if you must. Because, like I said, I mean, if you're one of these people like, I saw that coming, which, number one, I don't believe you. It's like not every horror movie is completely predictable. Like I honestly thought up to the last minute that Ralph Ineson was going to turn on her. I honestly thought that, because that's just, it's Ralph Ineson,
right?
Whoever expects
it makes sense,
right? Whoever expects him to play a good guy, you know what I mean? And the whole thing about this movie is the paranoia that, like, she couldn't even trust her friendly roommate. It just like she couldn't trust the dude she met in a nightclub, like, who was just set up to hit on her, and it's just like everything just fell into place. And when you think about that now, how all that was just set up and leading her to where she was supposed to be, it's almost kind of sad, because like when she's like chatting with this guy, she like seems the most relaxed and enjoying herself that she ever seems to get.
Right.
Like she's actually having a good time, and it's all a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly he feels bad about it, because like he's like crying during the conception scene, but still.
Yes, he's not happy with himself. He's made some choices.
Right. It's like, was he just like a dude that was just like recruited by the church to say, hey, see that girl over there wearing the silver disco top? Go over there and flirt with her. Okay. It's for the good of the church. You'll get your reward.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pod.
I wonder if he is a priest who hasn't gone all the way, and they're like, hey, if you want to be part of a real team of movers and shakers, the sales force of the Catholic Church, we can get you in on the ground floor. All you have to do is go disco dancing with this novitiate, and feed her enough drinks to knock her on her butt and slip her a Mickey. And then you can come and watch this giant jackal have sex with her. And here's the other thing, Gina. If you were to tell me a few years ago, there's going to be a Disney movie in which you see a demon jackal's penis, I would have called you a fucking liar. And yet you get demon claw reaching out of vagina, jackal penis. Like, it is going for it. There's a level of, we're not going to hide the weenie on this. And
no, literally.
And whereas I don't mean to compare them, because I actually do like them both. I do feel like Immaculate is hiding the weenie quite literally on this whole thing. Now, there are different ways where they're getting there, so there's not a lot of weenie to show. But that said, you introduce Bill Nighy into something as just your old friendly father figure, that you're not hiding anything.
Right.
I don't trust him to do the right thing. I don't trust him to be a good guy.
Yeah, you've got a lot of good, like, grizzled actor faces in it. You've got, again, Ralph Ineson. You've got Bill Nighy. You've got Charles Dance. All of his 37 seconds he's in the movie.
Uses it all.
You've got Sonia Braga playing the stern, no nonsense. You head nun.
It's just a murderer's row. Like, I think they are really utilizing the tools they have at their fingertips and using them very, very well. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the fact that the one girl in the orphanage that Margaret gets very attached to because she had these same feelings when she was that age. Oh no, it turns out she is one of the girl versions of the Omen, and they're like, not good enough. Maybe we'll use them for breeding. And then oopsie doodle, she's one too. I didn't actually see that coming because they're setting up the creepy kid dynamic. It's an Omen movie. I don't think it's a creepy 21-year-old.
No, it's not a creepy. I guess she would be a boomer. She's like 21 in 1971. So
sure. Yeah, we don't claim Damien as Gen X enough, I guess.
Yeah, no,
is that the lesson we should learn?
Like, he's not that much older than you. He would have born in June of 71.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
So, like, how do you think, like, the Catholic Church thought they were going to, quote unquote, control the Antichrist?
Yeah. Well, how many times, Gina, have we confronted this where A plus B equals $, $, and no one has the fucking clue how to do math? And this is another one where the Catholic Church is like, listen, we got to get butts in seats. Anyone have ideas? And they start going around the conference room table and they're like, we give away free wine. We allow people to eat meat on Fridays. Make an antichrist we can control. And I'm like, now that sounds crazy, but let's just whiteboard this out for a little bit. Okay.
Let's workshop this.
Let's just, it's not like we don't have the tools and it's not like we don't have the time. Let's hear this out because we need to figure this out. And they just find a demonic jackal that they can control enough to have sex with ladies. I just, oh my God, what an idea.
I need to know like the long-term business plan for this. Like, who was in charge of, quote, controlling the Antichrist?
How are they planning to do that?
Is that like one person's job? Like, does it work? Like, is he like a lion tamer or something?
Has everyone that we've seen in the other Omen movies not really been Satan worshipers, as we were kind of led to believe, but actually this sub-Catholic church who are like, we got to get this little dipshit in the White House eventually.
Oh my God. I think you cracked the real life code. I think this was happening under our noses the whole time.
First thing, give him the worst genetics possible. Second, he kind of wants to have sex with his daughter. 2, his hands don't make sense, and neither does his hair. Also, have you heard him talk at all? Ever found it entertaining? It's comical, but not in the way he intends. And then somehow it fucking worked once. And he was such a dipshit that not nearly enough of what they wanted to happen happened. And to date, I do not believe that butts have gone back into Catholic Church seats.
No, I'm just like, I'm trying to think like, do you just send it around to scare people? Like, I don't know, make those seeds turn to blood. That'll drive people to the church.
Yeah.
I will say that, but this is true of any demonic possession movie. I think that if you don't really buy this stuff in real life, a lot of it is going to fall apart. If you think about it too long, like
right.
Yeah, sure. They're going to, the Catholic Church says, is in cahoots to bring about the birth of the Antichrist as, a PR campaign to come back to church.
Right.
It's like, I got a good idea to make people, come back to church more. Stop having priests rape children. Have you considered that?
Yeah, just put that up on the board.
Getting rid of problem priests might be a lot easier and less time consuming than trying to orchestrate the birth of the Antichrist.
Right, because if you can't control them, something tells me you're going to have trouble controlling. Yeah, I mean,
if all you could do about a child molesting priest is shuffle him off to another parish,
I'm sure this will work.
I'm gonna say that controlling an unholy being is a little bit outside of your wheelhouse.
Yeah, that is not what we would claim to be something you're skilled at. That's not on your CV. So why are you even trying to do that? But you make a good point, Gina. Does this film resonate with me, a person who was raised religious, to the degree it has because of that upbringing? And we've talked about this a bit in the past with things like The Omen and The Exorcist. Like, I'm built for this kind of movie.
I am too. I'm absolutely am. You know that I love good religious horror, and you know that The Exorcist still in particular resonates very deeply with me. But I think it's more for me. It's kind of more on a not so much the existence of the devil. Just I think that the concept of the Antichrist is a little silly. But that does not take away from the overall impact of this movie, mostly because it is just done so well and really digs into very real life feelings of gaslighting and paranoia. And I think that it all, with the fantastical elements of the concept of an Antichrist combined, makes it a very, very effective movie.
Yes. And because, have you seen Immaculate yet?
I've not seen it yet, no.
Okay. Then I shan't spoil it for you. But there's an element that comes to play with Immaculate where it's because it is unencumbered from any sort of pre-existing IP that it does allow you to surprise you in ways that the First Omen can't. So there's that. It's a bit of a back and forth. I enjoy both of these swings at the bat. It is entirely both odd and not surprising at all that both these films came out in this year.
Yeah, no, they were almost back to back, weren't they?
The Immaculate came out in March, mid-March. I think it came out the week before I flew to Japan. And then this came out while I was in Japan. And I wasn't there I was there a while, but I wasn't there that fucking long. So the fact that they did back to back them, I don't know that it did either of them a lot of help necessarily.
No, I don't think so either.
It was bad planning on everyone, that someone didn't back down and say, maybe this is a May picture. Maybe we do one of these in February.
Yeah, we don't have to put these out like within like 2 weeks of each other.
Yes. And I also don't think it helped that they didn't have the hard buildup. I think one of the phenomenons that we have discussed in terms of how you ended up with 2022 being that particular good year in horror is that it kind of starts with a Scream movie and it builds all the way to Scream, and then the residual is Megan. Like, it just all the way through, people were going to horror movies and they were being told, here's another killer horror movie that's coming out. And you're like, I can't wait to have a different version of this happen after. It was just killer flick after killer flick after killer flick. And in all sorts of different ways. The menu didn't work for me as well as it worked for you. That being said, it worked for a ton of people, and it helped, that it just kind of kept the flow going all the way to the end of the year. And this year started a little soft in terms of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's harder for movies that are, building off of streaming to really influence in movie going, things. But the fact that Longlegs launched as well as it did, and Maxine, a softer hit, not quite on Longlegs level, but I think that's going to help build towards Alien Romulus and people seeing trailers in front of that and going, oh, that's on my calendar for next month. And that's on my calendar for October. And that's on my calendar for the end of the year. I think it'll help build a healthier horror reaction in box office than what we saw earlier in the year, where everyone's like, I don't know, Night Swim?
A little anemic.
I mean, do we owe it to ourselves to fucking see this movie we have been slagging since January?
Probably. It's only fair.
It's only fair to it. Night Swim. I guess we slate Night Swim. Why not?
Sure.
I don't know when, because we have an insanely killer lineup between now and the end of the year.
Death Pool, the pool that eats.
I mean, will they have any sequence in it that rivals the butt filter sequence from The Final Destination?
I thought you were going to say, well, they have a scene that rivals the guy sticking his hands in the bed in deathbed, and his hands are rendered two little skeleton hands. I mean, nothing will ever top that. Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Yeah. Sorry, demon hand out of vagina. Take a seat.
Sorry, demon hands sensually stroking a woman's face.
Yeah, that is the other thing. This woman gets a lot of face licking.
She gets licked. She gets like, and it's not like, I mean, I don't know that somebody just licking up the side of your cheek like a Saint Bernard could ever be sexy, but like it's particularly grotesque here.
And it's consistent. She's constantly getting licked.
It's like, the snozberries taste like snozberries.
There's at least one sequence where Luz gives her the European double kiss and she flinches, probably because she's not been touched that way. So, like, it at least sets up that she doesn't have face intimacy. That's not something that's on the regs. I mean,
is anybody really like into just having their face licked?
No, I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum, but there's a lot of inappropriate face licking that's happening in this motion picture. And if that's something you're against, this movie will work.
Yeah.
Any other, here's my big question for you, Gina. And I don't believe we brought this up before. And now that we've kind of talked through 3 of these Omen movies in a sort of unintentional franchise exploration, is the Omen series anti-construction worker?
I never thought of that, but I think you may have something there.
In the same way that Friday the 13th is unintentionally like first responders are the worst people on earth, this is very anti-construction.
I think that they are the devil definitely likes to use construction workers as patsies.
Right. Yeah. It's not that they are inherently evil.
Yeah. The construction worker is the humble construction worker is the devil's Lee Harvey Oswald.
Our apologies to all construction workers. We didn't mean to drag you into this. But then again,
but they're innocent. That's the thing.
They're innocent.
Like everything that everything that happens is out of their hands.
Yes. It is. They are trying to simply do the best work that they can, but the devil does work against
like the devil.
OSHA
The devil and truck drivers, I think, are the construction workers and truck drivers are definitely the devil's tools.
Anyone going to, from, or on a work site, you really have to consider: am I simply a tool for the devil? Is what you might want to ask yourself before you go to sleep tonight, based on the Omen motion.
Which sucks because like basically 65% of New York City is a construction site. So
yes,
I really, if you have to have a frantic conversation with me about a plot that you have uncovered about the creation of the Antichrist, give me a few minutes to get somewhere away from a construction site before I can talk to you about it. That's all I ask. Text me. I have to talk to you about the Antichrist. Can you talk? And I'll be like, give me 5 minutes.
Well, there's one thing that every movie we talk about is ultimately constructing, and that's a game we like to call Choose Your Own Deathventure, where we decide of the deaths in that film, if we were forced to die in one of those ways, well, which one would we choose and why? Up for bid in this film, we have a perfect watermelon slice of brain taken out of your skull via pipe. Light yourself on fire because, quote, it's all for you, and then hang yourself just for good measure. Perhaps you want to get bisected by a delivery truck.
Yeesh.
You're cleaved in half.
And like awake and aware of what's happening to you. That is some drawn out shit.
Yes. And then there's just
the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up.
Car crashed to death and then immolated is the only other thing that happens. If we're calling the devil jackal,
I mean, he's not human, so
Right.
I don't know that he counts.
How about all that cool wallpaper that went up? And where are they shopping for that demonic wallpaper, Gina? Is that a specialty shop they're going to?
Well, they got to order from Spoonflower, where you can get that like custom designed wallpaper.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Well,
so of those deaths, Gina, which one would you choose and why?
I'll tell you what, the only thing that I thought this was lacking in comparison to the original Omen was, a scene where a guy gets his head sliced off and then the head does a perfect like 360 spin in the air.
Sure.
I really kind of missed that sort of spectacular death.
Yes.
The bisection was very good because it was, unnerving because she didn't know what happened to the guy. The guy was pretty aware that something bad had happened to him. He was awake, which, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved how, the head splitting scene was shot.
Yes.
You've got all the glass falling in slow motion. You got the pipe's going to go right through him. Pipe's going to go right through. Oh, it missed. You got me, movie. And then turned around and actually split the back of his head open. And I love that he turns around, he smiles at him, and like blood started to pour out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on board for where this movie wants to take me. So I'm going to take that one because I don't think he realized what happened to him. And I think that, if that scene had lasted a second longer, he just would have collapsed.
Yeah, he's walking around with some level of nerve endings that are still firing, but obviously some that are just dead. There's no ouch going on there. It's all, well, this doesn't seem real until you wink out. That's the way to go.
I do like how Ralph Ineson is like, Father, you okay? Father?
That seems scary. There was a lot of glass, but I didn't get cut. You don't look. Oh shit. Yes. It's one of those things where it's a bit of a fakey. Because we've seen glass really hurt people in the Omen series.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been like a pile of meat ribbons, but
yes,
that's already the movie just zags on you immediately from the get-go.
And I feel that works for me. I understand if it doesn't for you, that's fine. But boy, yeah, and that's the one I'm going with. That's too much fun not to deal with. Now, in terms of us here on Kill by Kill, we're available on your socials. You're going to want to go to joshhollis.com for artwork because he does all of ours and he's fucking great at it. How about music? Go to Revenge Body Memphis at bandcamp.com for this theme or all of our remixes. Go to Patreon for extra cool stuff. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television, mostly right now at GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. I am on most social medias where regrettably I'm talking about politics more than I should for the sake of my mental health under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Don't worry, folks. We got a killer lineup coming your way, and the body count will absolutely continue. For myself and for Gina, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.